This is the best show I've ever done. We're doing great.
What was your feeling after the show?
Like this. I mean, I never know what my show looks like because I'm always in it, but I'm also like behind the scenes, like telling people what to do. So I never really get to see my work. That's how I come up with all these things, is I see it in a dream or I see it in my head and I get it on paper, and then I just envision it on a stage and I say, okay, this is what you do.
He's always been very imaginative and always comes up with something to do, and he's always done that since he was small. So
Looking at the screen and you're just like, oh my gosh, like that looks like 5 times better than I thought it would, or like that's my dream on the TV.
I know he doesn't get it from me, but because I don't have near the imagination he does.
It will just be the spark of the moment where he just randomly thinks of something. So he's perfect to be one of those people you talk to and you are talking about ideas you've had, and he can make it into a phenomenal idea through his creativity.
Drew is adopted, and he's got a grandmother that was a full-blooded Arapaho Indian. So maybe that's where he gets some of his imagination from.
It's our 3rd annual show, so I wanted it to be big. I wanted to go big or go home.
Drew is extremely creative. He comes in telling me that things are coming in his dreams, and that's what he kind of gets his creativity from. So that's where Spektrum came to him, was he just had a dream about no color, I guess.
So I think there'll be more music, more color, more flashiness.
Used me as an assistant, kind of. I helped run the show. I helped Drew design the show and made it more realistic, because Drew has all these great grand ideas, but in the scheme of things we had to downsize a lot of things, especially since the whole power outage thing.
So we get to GPAC, and normally I'm like crazy, stressing out, which I kind of was a little bit, but not as much as last year. And I don't know if you knew, but the area was having power surges before.
The day of the show, it was actually hectic because the power was going out, in and out, and it was like, are we gonna have a show? Are we not gonna have a show? And I was scared, because if the power was to go out during the show, what are we gonna do?
So when we showed up to get hair and makeup, the power had been out for like 30 minutes. So when I got upstairs in GPAC, the makeup artists were using their cell phone flashlight apps and shining them in people's faces to get them to be able to see everyone's face. The people doing hair were at a loss. They couldn't do anything because they couldn't plug in any hair tools. It was really funny because every now and then the lights would come on for about 5 minutes. And so they tried to like get the curling irons and things to heat up as fast as they could. And then when the power went out, they'd like try to curl people's hair really quickly while it was still hot.
So I had to meet with the director of GPAC, the lighting and sound crew, the president of my organization, the director of Greek life, just because there was going to be a whole lot of Greek students that were going to be there. I had to just coordinate with everyone at one time. Like, we were meeting literally like an hour before the show, and we're sitting there in the office on the phone with everyone, and it came down to the point where they said, you know, can you squeeze it down? And I said, yeah, we'll just do a faster show.
They had to call me on the phone because I was over here and they were over there, but he called me and he was completely panicked. He didn't know what was going to happen. They were talking about canceling his show. They were very nervous about equipment catching fire and whatnot from the power going on and off and on and off. And their recommendation was they were thinking about canceling it, but this was the last opportunity to have it. There was not another space to reschedule it in.
Because we were all crammed in this tiny little room over in GPAC, and like we had to shut the door because we didn't want students starting rumors, and then people were going by saying, is it still going on? Is it still not going on? I don't know.
He was extremely panicked and didn't really know what to do, and they had been doing run-throughs, and they had their special salon, I think, here doing hair and makeup and everything, and he was very, very stressed out, but we were really lucky that that it all worked out, that we were able to get it done quickly, but he was making any sort of promise he could have to be able to get that show to happen.
Well, my brothers are becoming more and more supportive because they're seeing how serious this production is.
We had divided up all the work between all the brothers, so we had brothers making the props and sets while, you know, I was in here trying to assist them with the light design and assisting the models on which way to go. So we equaled out the work.
And this year we have Dalton, who was the stage manager, and he's also does productions with Givens, so he's really knowledgeable when it comes to his equipment.
During the show, I was backstage, and I basically had the list order, and I would have to cue the lights and cue the music, and then cue the models to go. And we also had to cut back on some things, so it was kind of my decision at the last minute to what to cut and when to cut things.
So he knows the logistics of how things work with the stage, and I don't really know that. So that's why it was really good to have him as a stage manager.
I've been in theater since I was little, so this was nothing new to me. As far as state as I goes, fashion shows, I have helped Drew with all 3.
Guys, if you're not on stage now, we're gonna have to do the thing without you. What you want?
Originally, another group that we had worked with our first year doing the show, they wanted to, I guess, partner with our show, but we originally didn't plan on having our show the same week as another show. We always try and like separate it from everything else, but due to how busy the Performing Arts Center was, we had to plan the 2 days after another fashion show. So I got a call one day from the theater, and they were like, well, would you consider doing a fashion week? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess so. And I set up a meeting with them, and they actually, what's funny is they really reached out to me, but in reality, I think they just knew that our show was going to be kind of like a threat to theirs, so they knew that they would get money out of the show, basically. So I went to a meeting with them, and they were there, and at first they originally wanted to combine our 2 shows into one night and have like a scene and then one of their scenes, and I was like, no, my thought process doesn't work like that. When our show runs, it's like a storyline. So I wanted it to make sense to the audience and not combine it. And then they wanted to combine, because they said that their theme was, they wanted to have like the theme be children, I guess, because theirs was like Once Upon a Time, and I don't know how they got children out of the word Spektrum, but mine was more of a play on dreams and reality and the perception of color. I kind of had to be like, no, we're not going to do that, so we made our separate show. We ended up partnering and saying, you know, we'll support each other by advertisements and stuff.
What did you do to become a model for the fashion show?
What I did to become a model for the fashion show, I actually went to an audition, and it was in Cypress Hall. And what I did was I walked for Drew, and he kind of evaluated it and called me back.
Well, I was a contestant in the Miss UNCP pageant, and while doing that, Drew asked me if I wanted to participate in the fashion show. So I said yes, and then had a couple meetings.
Like 3 years ago, Drew came up to me at a Greek function and just asked me if I would be in his first show. And this year, he just, asked me if I'd do it again. And I had so much fun doing it the first year. It really was exciting and just so much fun. Dress rehearsal really wasn't a dress rehearsal this year. We didn't put on our clothes or our hair or our makeup. We just kind of walked through the different patterns, the walking patterns that Drew had come up with, and timed them and did the music to see how everything would work. Some people brought their clothes. I know I brought my clothes because I thought we were going to be changing in and out of our outfits, but we didn't. We just walked through the different patterns and practiced.
It was fun running through everything, getting to see how it was all going to be put together, and it was easier than the actual show because there wasn't anyone in the audience staring back at you.
The dress rehearsal, it went okay. Everyone approved of my clothing, so I was happy about that. And it was all right. It was kind of hectic because people didn't have certain things. You want to give people some clothing to help them out as well, but everything was pretty okay.